So we're working on learning target 6, which is about finding the volume of a 3D figure. But before we get into volume, I want to backtrack to area. So remember, we're finding area. Basically, you're trying to figure out how many square inches fit inside of your shape. So if I look at this Cheez-It here, it's 1 inch by 1 inch. So that's why it's called a square inch, because it's a square and it's 1 inch by 1 inch. So that's going to be our unit. So to find the area of this rectangle here, that's 3 inches by 4 inches, I'm just trying to figure out how many Cheez-Its fit inside, or how many square inches fit inside. And so we can see that 12 Cheez-Its fit inside, so that means the area of this rectangle is going to be 12 inches squared. Okay, now we're going to talk about volume. So volume is really similar to area in that you're trying to figure out how many of a certain shape will fit inside. So for area, it's going to be for two-dimensional shapes or flat shapes like a rectangle or a square or a triangle. But for volume, we're doing it for 3D figures. So instead of trying to figure out how many squares fit inside, we're trying to figure out how many unit cubes fit inside. And so if I look at this phone charger, the block, if I take off these two prongs here, this is going to be a cube, because it's 1 inch in length, 1 inch in width, and 1 inch in height. So it's similar to area, except this time, instead of just having length and width, we're now adding in height as another dimension. So it has 3 dimensions, which is why it's 3-dimensional. So if I have a shape like this Tupperware, I'm trying to figure out how many cubes are going to fit inside. So if I had more of these blocks, I could just stack them in here and see how many would fit inside. And let's say 10 fit inside, then my volume would be 10 cubic units. And it's cubic because it's a cube. So I'm going to use Starburst for this. They're not exactly a cube. They are 1 unit by 1 unit, but the width isn't exactly 1 unit, but we're going to pretend it's a perfect cube. So if I imagine this as my unit cube, because it's 1 unit by 1 unit by 1 unit, I can try to figure out the volume of this by deciding how many Starbursts are going to fit inside. So if I start stacking them, so now that I have all those Starbursts in there, I put in 64 Starbursts, so that means that my volume is going to be 64 units cubed. So remember, for area, we're talking about how many rectangles fit inside, but for volume, we're talking about how many cubes fit inside.